I think I want to start by talking about something that is separate from picking up women, but you can extrapolate and use it in that area of your life. So recently I've lost, it's like 36, 37 pounds, somewhere around there in the last 4.5 months. Now, that's pretty substantial, and that's in a pretty small amount of time. And you would think that I probably followed some crazy plan. So, going to the gym every day, strict diet, all those kinds of things. What's up, Sharma? But no, what I did was simple. A big part of it actually was game. I made a rule that I would do at least 1 minute of day game every day. And, at first, maybe I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, this will be good for me because I can start getting infield, which will be good for the channel, and I'll also be losing weight because I'm getting steps, etc. Right? So I started doing that, and pretty quickly, even though my rule for success is only 1 minute, most days I end up doing like 15,000 steps, a couple hours of day game, get multiple dates lined up, get multiple numbers pretty much every day, get new infield. I have some coming out tomorrow, actually. I filmed like 5 approaches today, 5 approaches yesterday, as an example. And it turned out I'm now getting an average of 15,000 steps a day. Huge benefit for weight loss. And the other part, I just followed a very simple rule, the 1 meal a day diet. Very simple. It just means you can have 1 meal a day and then you fast. And was that hard? Maybe at first a little bit, but it really wasn't as difficult as you'd think. And I'm allowed to eat shitty food. I'm allowed to, do whatever I want. And, sometimes I'll eat super nachos, for example. Usually I try to stay healthy, but just sticking with that, just saying I'm going to stick with this for at least, I told myself, for a month and see what happens. Well, I did that. A month in, I've lost a lot of weight, like 15 pounds probably the first month. So I decided to stick with it and keep doing it. And then just that, those two things, is enough to go from, I was like 218, so right over the obesity threshold, somewhere between 4 and 5 months ago, to now being not overweight. I still want to lose even more weight, but now I'm below the threshold for being overweight, right? In terms of BMI or whatever. It wasn't drastic. It wasn't extreme. It wasn't some trick. It was just following simple rules consistently. Not sexy, not easy to sell a course on that, not marketing hype, but that's what works. And the same is true with game, right? Like I was saying, the day game, because I was part of this, over time, I was getting more and more. I was getting, I'm starting to make getting infield a part of my routine, and now my channel is in the near future going to be flooded with infield and probably will blow up as a result. And that's something I was kind of procrastinating or putting off, but I just committed to 1 minute a day. Because consistency creates momentum. And the biggest problem is that it's very easy to lie to yourself. What's up, man? It's very easy to lie to yourself when you take on something that's, you bite more than, what's the phrase? You bite more than you can chew or whatever. And what tends to happen is then you start rationalizing because your emotions are so against you. So you're going out, let's say approaching, and you're saying, I'm going to do an hour a day every day and do at least 10 approaches or something, which look, I've done this a million times, whether it's with fitness, whether it's with, I'm going to record 10 videos a day. I told myself at one point, did I stick with that? No. So whatever area it may be, you tell yourself these extreme things that would get you to the goal really quickly. But the problem is you're using your logical brain to say, all right, I want to get the goal to the finish line as quickly as possible. How do I do that? Logically, it's fine. But the emotional part of your brain has most of the power. The subconscious is most of what leads you to make decisions. If you ignore its existence, then what's going to happen? You're just going to keep getting in these loops of starting something but not finishing, not being consistent. And so really the most important thing when it comes to game is how do you learn game? How do you get good at it? The process of developing the skill, which in nerd speak you could call the meta game, right? It's the game outside of game, which is how do I actually get better day after day, week after week, month after month? And the part where we all get stuck is one, overanalyzing and just not taking action because you feel like you would fail. So not being willing to learn through failure, not accepting the fact that the only way to learn anything and get good at anything is through failure. And we can accept this with anything else, right? With working out, you're gonna, at first you're gonna feel like a tool because you're like lifting barely anything, right? At first, if you want to learn an instrument, you're gonna play the song wrong 100 times before you play it right. And so with dating, if you actually want to get good at it and get good results, you have to, and I'm seeing a bunch of questions I'll start answering, you have to accept that the only way to learn is through failure, not through infinite information. And the biggest roadblock is that it feels overwhelming. What happens is it feels like too much, right? Like I'm gonna go out and do a bunch of approaches. I'm gonna go 50 approaches a week right away. That is gonna cause a lot of resistance. There's two parts of your brain that are gonna be at war with each other. And thanks for all the likes, guys. There's gonna be two parts of your brain that are at war with each other. And the part that your emotions reside in is gonna win eventually, most likely, right? Unless you're someone like a Marine and you already have extreme self-discipline in general and you can just push through. Most people, it's not gonna happen. That's the reality, right? You just have to accept that. And so the way around this problem is to give yourself a system that even on your worst day, even on a day when you're feeling anxious, even when your ego doesn't want to do it, even when your emotions are not on your side, that you can still follow through on. Because then you'll build momentum. Because then you'll go from taking very little action, struggling, but at least you completed the task, as small as it may be, and you get these little wins that build up on each other. But if you say, I'm gonna do something, insane, I'm gonna just start getting dates this week, I'm gonna do 50 approaches a day right now, you say that, what's probably gonna happen is you fail to achieve that, then you get negative momentum. You feel like I failed, I'm gonna try again, I failed again, and then you go downhill, sadly. So the solution that I think is the best solution, other than getting in-person coaching and having someone push you through that phase so you can kind of skip most of it, other than that, the best solution is micro habits. Make it so easy to start that your emotions are not going to be too much against you, that your subconscious is not going to be too much against you, right? Like I said, at least 1 minute of day game is a good example. And that's the one I would recommend, right? This applies to dating apps, at least 1 minute of using Tinder, Bumble, whatever, at least 1 minute of going out to a bar every day, right? And look, if you can only do 4 days a week, I guess that's okay. But so many guys, they're like, I want to get good at game. I want to get hotter girls, want to get access to a higher quality girlfriend, whatever. And they've never even done a 30-day challenge. You've never done it consistently for 1 month. And you're starting to think, oh, it's my looks. It's because my game isn't good enough. It's because of this. You haven't even done the fundamental, just consistency. And what'll happen is the first week may suck, but over time, it'll get easier and easier. And there's an important psychological difference between doing something because you have to and doing because you want to. So what'll happen, at first, you don't really want to go out, but you do. And let's say you do the 1 minute. Normally, if you have a goal that's like, I'm going to do at least 5 approaches, you're doing that because you have to. You're forcing yourself, which sometimes you have to. That may be confusing the way I put it. Sometimes you do need to do that in life, but it's not going to become autotelic. It's not going to become a habit that you're doing for its own sake. And that's the problem. So what you need to do instead, if you're only doing the 1 minute and then you decide, I want to stay, because I already came, right? I already went out. If you went to a gym and you're like, I only have to go to the gym for 1 minute, are you really going to do a 1 minute workout? Maybe on a really bad day, you're having an anxiety attack. Sure. But even on that day you went and you reinforced the habit of going, which is still valuable in itself. Very underrated in how valuable that is. But secondly, you're there now because you decided right then, because you wanted to right then, not because of some contract you made with yourself to force yourself in the past that on some level you resent. Like, fuck that past version of myself that's like trying to force me to do this. That's how we feel. But you're now doing it because you want to. And you can look up, it's called have to versus want to motivation. There's a lot of psychological research on this. But you want to make the motivation intrinsic instead of extrinsic as much as possible. And so the more you do that, you go out 1 minute and then you decide to stay, or you use dating apps at least 1 minute and then you keep doing more, over time, you'll be doing it because you enjoy it. You'll be getting momentum. And so that's one of the biggest keys, and that's how I lost so much weight in not that long of a period of time.